Ow, ow, wow. Mm. I bet the bow. Hello. How you guys doing? Pretty good. Pretty good. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna link this in my Discord. If I can grab the link. Where's the link? Is loving Jesus legal yet? Share. Oh, perfect. Adam. Yeah, Adam. All right. So, a lot has happened since last time. Here, hold on. There we go. There we go. So, where do I begin? Well, there's some shit with white noise, which is why it is labeled episode 1, because the one that was uploaded on Wolf X Gaming's channel, was more of like a test pilot thing. And also, the thing is like, this is my show. And not only was I not linked in the description of that video, but also, like, it just wasn't really made known that, like, he was more of a guest speaker or whatever, like a guest co-host. And it was kind of like, to me, it felt almost implied that, like, he was an essential part of the show. Like, if he wasn't in it, then it wouldn't be the show. And that's just not true. Like, it's my show, it's my idea, my logo. But, yeah. So, it's basically, I guess, rebooted, if you want to fucking do that. Anyway. And I'll have guest speakers and stuff like that. But for today, we're going to do a shorter episode. This one I'm just going to be doing the same shit I usually do, just reacting to stuff. But it's stuff that I've been wanting to talk about for a bit. So strap in, I guess. God. Actually, hold on. Okay, yeah, let's get started. So this one I really liked a lot. Oh, don't. There we go.
Are you okay with getting comfortable, chilling, mailing it in, waiting around on inspiration? If this is as high as you ever got, not career success-wise, but from a skill level, like, have you wrote your best song? Did you leave no stone unturned creatively? When you put yourself in uncomfortable moments, you find out a lot about yourself. And usually you find out that you're capable of rising to that bar that's set by that uncomfortable situation.
That's true. So I had a personal experience with this, which is, sorry, I'm adjusting my sound. I had a personal experience with this where on the Flat Earth reaction stream, that is stuff that I really, really like talking about, but I feel shy, I guess, like feeling like people will actually enjoy me talking about physics and stuff. But turns out that a lot of people seem to like that one. You know, because I'm genuinely just getting passionate about the shit I'm interested in. Go figure. People like to see that. Damn. Still though, I just have a lot of self-doubts that I'm still working on, still working through, making progress on, that kind of thing. And basically my point is that he said, doing that uncomfortable thing, pushing yourself, really just shows you like what you're capable of. I mean, I know that's kind of like obvious, but it's it was really reassuring to do something that I was scared to do, and it got such good feedback. It was just nice, and I'm still proud of that video. Like, I'll look back on it and be like, that was good. That was solid.
Art support.
Recommended meditation to me, which I had already dabbled with, but she gave me her experience with meditation, and I took that seed that she planted and was like, yo, I'm going to revisit this. And I meditated every day that year and got up to twice a day, sometimes 3 a day.
He's a nice facial structure. Sorry, I'm just like...
So thank you, Catherine. And the album that came out from that, you know what I mean, from that process. So yes. Meditation for me is more like being present. I'm not trying to think anything. I'm not praying about anything. I'm just still observing. So if
it's like a grounding technique, yeah. In psychology, that's called grounding, which is basically like where you put yourself in the present moment by focusing on, you know, sounds around you, by focusing on, you know, just touching solid surfaces and focusing on that, feeling your limbs and your body, focusing on your breathing, that kind of thing.
My mind is racing, and it might be nerves, or it might be there's a bill due, or it might be this is happening in the family. I'm noticing it, and I'm trying to
let it go.
Let it go, but also not fight it.
Right. Just let it exist, you know, without dwelling on it. Yeah.
Attention back to like my breathing, something that's currently happening. The sound of that fan. I just listen and try to like focus on that. And what you'll notice is like,
it's fantastic.
My mind will start going to something else. Like, oh, my mom said something on the phone, boom, boom, boom. And I'll start thinking about that. And I might go on a 30-second trip on that thought.
So you like meditation is like become a thing, like a regular part of your life?
I do it when
Sorry, I just find that an odd question in response to what he was talking about.
Get a little anxiety. You know what I mean? Or a lot of anxiety when there's like a stressful situation.
Okay, this is what made me want to talk about this video. I literally stopped it after this point and I was like, I need to talk about this because like I just have so much to say. And it's just like, I appreciate someone like this just being so open and vulnerable and just saying, you know, that they get anxiety and that they meditate and things like that. He's just like so... It reminds me of what I try to do when I try to talk about things. It reminds me of like, at least what I maybe aspire to be. I don't know if I necessarily achieve it to this level, but I try to, you know, I like to try to be someone who can just talk about this stuff without it being, you know, someone trying to have like some type of like sob story or like gain sympathy points. It's just, you're talking about this thing because it's a real thing that's happening. And that it should be okay to talk about, just like anything else. I don't know why people have such weird stigma about, you know, discussing that kind of thing and thinking it's like, oh, this super personal thing. When really, like, is it that personal? Everyone gets anxiety. They get it in different severities to different things, but ultimately, like, everyone experiences it. Like, really, it's not that... like it's pretty typical, you know what I mean? That would be like saying that like getting hungry is like a personal thing, you know what I mean? Like oh, like okay, like I don't know why you're trying to bring like a pity party, you know, like by talking about how you got hungry or whatever. You know, that'd be a fucking odd thing to say, but everyone gets hungry. But for some reason, stuff like anxiety, depression, sadness, you know, self-doubt, that kind of thing is I guess maybe looked down upon, frowned upon from being more forefront discussion subjects. You know what I mean? They're slightly more discouraged than most other kind of, I guess, normal topics.
That's what I don't like about myself is like, I want to become disciplined to where it is a part of my life every day when things are like good or things are like a little stressful. So like,
I need to do that too. I've been getting a lot of coping mechanisms from my therapist, and I haven't really been practicing them. And it's really annoying because I have all these useful tools in my tool belt or tool belt, toolbox, whatever. And I'm just like not really doing much with them. And I'm like, all right, I need to start focusing on this more. You know, you don't need to do it once every day, but, you know, try to do it at least maybe twice or 3 times a week. If you can do that, that's better than nothing. And then, you know, try to do that consistently for a few weeks, then maybe build another day per week, you know, that kind of thing.
Like, I haven't done an interview in mad long, so like before I come up here, I'm feeling like I'm excited, but it's also like, oh, it's a little nerves. Like,
Okay, yeah, this is the part that struck me with the vulnerability thing, because he's just like openly talking about how he was nervous to be on. And I think that's great. Like, I genuinely think that's so great. You don't really see this from a lot of people in, you know, what would you say? Like, entertainment media, that kind of thing. Like, you don't really see just such a human being being so openly human and just talking about their human experiences without trying to put it through like a filter of like PR almost, you know what I mean? Like they kind of change how they would talk about it for the cameras or whatever. You know, they either take the chance to like virtue signal, or they you know, they just like frame it differently to where it's not as personal. It's not as like, I guess maybe not personal is the right word given what I was just talking about, but it's not as honest. It's not as honest. It's not as open. That's what bugs me. People will talk about like this same kind of stuff, but they'll kind of be like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. Or like be like, oh, like, you know, I get anxiety, but like it's not really a thing, or, you know, something like that. Or even not even then. I just can't really come up with a good example right now. But I feel like you know what I'm talking about.
it would feel like before I go on a big
Yeah.
show or something.
You have an amazing gift for storytelling.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you.
I mean, seriously, an amazing
Look at that. Just such a human being. He like genuinely is like, thank you. That means a lot. Like, like,
gift.
I don't know. It's just so refreshing. I've never seen this dude. So like seeing his stuff, I'm like, it again, it reminds me of like what I would aspire to be if I were ever, I guess, a celebrity or whatever. I would not want to be a celebrity, like to that extent. Oh my God. But like, you know, I guess my ideal situation with like YouTube would be like being one of those channels that gets like, you know, a couple 100,000 views per video or something, you know. That would be, you know, if I never grew beyond that point and I just stayed there, I would be perfectly satisfied. But at the same time, if I never end up getting that, that's not the end of the world. This is just a fun hobby for me.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I just know I started gravitating to that. Like I started off just rapping about nothing.
Yeah.
More like battle raps. Like I'm better than you raps.
Right.
You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
Once I really started like fall in love with the art more and like really pay attention to my favorites, Pac, Nas, it was the stories that I gravitated to. I think about all my favorite artists, period, and it's just amazing storytellers.
Right, when you put yourself out there, when you, again, the vulnerability, when you put you into it, when you open yourself up to, you know, potential, you know, critics of just like, you know, your story or whatever, like, or just your experiences or, you know, that kind of thing. You make yourself vulnerable. You put a part of you into what you create.
And that's what I just, you know, emulated. And eventually there's been points in my life where it's like, to be a rapper, you got to always keep your pen sharp and like be ready to go into battle at any time, the competition, the sport of rap. And there's been times in my career where it's just like, that's so far from where I want to be. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm just interested in telling stories and like.
Right. You want to create art. You don't want to enter some weird macho measuring contest.
You know, getting across a message and a theme. And if I get chills, I know, that's when I know. Like, oh, if I tell a story that's like, you know, that's when I know. So
I love that. Dude, literally the way he talks about stuff is like a cooler version of what I try to talk about.
It takes somebody who's vulnerable and like broken and gives them some a way to like plug that hole. Even there's kids that like love me, love my music, and it's like to them I represent something
Yes.
more than just the music.
What
And
do you say to them?
I say to them that like I don't want that to be the case. I don't want to mean that much to you, not because I don't care about you, but because I actually care about you. I want you to get to a place where no artist, celebrity, even person in your life can have that much meaning to you where like
It like dictates.
dominates your life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where it's what's pulling my strings?
Mm.
What's forcing me to want this shit so bad that I do this?
Yeah.
And we
Right, you shouldn't model your life or your aspirations or whatever around a person or whatever. You know, like in a toxic relationship, for instance, that you often find that like your entire life gets molded around this person. And that seems to be what is just the center of your world now. You know, you used to have friends, you used to have hobbies, you used to do creative things. Yet you used to have time and energy for yourself. Now it's just them. You know, you're just constantly worried about them. That's the feeling of a toxic relationship. Yeah, he's right. Yeah, people, you know, not even just that, you know, interpersonally, but you know, the parasocial relationships. You shouldn't model yourself completely around, you know, how someone is. I mean, obviously it's good to consume, you know, things that you like and, you know, borrow, you know, elements from people that you respect. Obviously, that's totally fine. But to like, you know, to take a person and completely aspire to be like them. Like fucking like Buddy in Incredibles, where he like just completely models his life all around Mr. Incredible. And like he doesn't form an identity of his own. You know, again, it's good to it's great, encouraged even to, you know, borrow from people that you respect, but you know, you don't want to just model yourself completely after this other person. You have to have that, again, what I was talking about earlier, a part of you. You have to put yourself into what you create. If you don't do that, you're not creating an honest piece of art. You know, it's just a shallow, almost like a pretender. You know what I mean? It's like pretending to be going, you're just copying what this person that you respect is doing instead of just doing it because you really believe in it.
We're to blame as a society because like we
do live in a society. Sorry.
Promote that. I mean, obviously we were born into this, but we promote that and we award that. We award a certain monetary level that you hit. We award
money, numbers, fame, possessions, friends, just like, for example, like fucking Andrew Tate type dudes, like, you know, women and all this shit.
a certain amount of followers that you hit. We award a certain amount of clout that you get. We support it.
Yeah.
We can't look away. A video come up.
It's so shallow and meaningless. I don't get people who prioritize that kind of shit. I legitimately cannot understand it. I'm like, that is such an empty existence. That's what motivates you. Is like attention or money or, you know, views, which I guess is also attention. You know, that kind of thing. You're just kind of chasing some external source of validation. That's why it's empty. Because you're chasing this source of self-validation instead of just creating it within yourself. Which is an actual, genuine, real, you know, way of being in the world is by, you know, again, forming your own identity and forming your own source of validation within yourself instead of being dependent on, well, you know, as long as I have this amount of money, then I'm worth something. As long as I have X amount of women, I'm worth something. You know, yada, da, da, da. You know, that's why they chase that shit. It's, I mean, I don't care how much they want to cope and say that they're not dependent on that for validation, but that's literally the reason that they chase it. Because if they didn't depend on that for validation, then what the fuck good would it be for? You know, what would that number mean to you then? Like that's literally what that, you know, what getting a big number or getting this or that, that's just how that functions. You know, achieving the thing, you know, is just a way to make yourself feel justified, make yourself feel validated, you know, make yourself feel like, okay, now I'm worth something, now that I've achieved this thing that, you know, you can write down on paper or whatever. It's like, you know, now that I'm building a resume almost of like, you know, things that justify my existence. It's like, it's not healthy. So empty. So empty. You will never be satisfied with yourself or your life if you chase external validation for, you know, your primary source of validation. Obviously, it's good to get validation from others, but if you are mostly dependent on that, yeah, not good.
I'm up right now. Somebody put a video in the chat. This little rapper do this, boom, boom. I'm clicking that shit. You get another choice. You know what I mean? Like, it's not all or nothing. It's not like, yo, I popped the perk. Like, I fucked
What's
up.
wrong with you?
Nah, it's like, bro, it's cool. Choose wise. Like, you got another shot. It's an empowering
It is.
statement. It puts the power, like, in your hands. And it's like, you always got the choice to, like, you know, it's not, nothing's final.
Yeah.
You always got a chance today to, like, be the person you want to be.
Yeah.
I went to Does Skate Zone, and they had a part of their show where they invited, yo, all the MCs that's in the crowd, if you want to get up and rock, come up. I'm 14. I'm the youngest dude in there, me and Said. Everybody else, 19, 20, 24, whatever. I get on stage as a 14-year-old, scrawny, skinny. I sounded like a girl. My voice was high-pitched. I was nervous as hell, but as soon as they passed me the microphone, I destroyed that shit. I was the best on the stage.
Hell yeah.
All these older dudes, and that's when dudes from Bomb Shelter was like, he wasn't lying. He really got it like that. And we started working.
That's how I was with beatboxing when I was about, like 16, 14, or 15, about. I was fucking nervous as fuck to get up on a stage and perform. I was like, oh my God, like no one's gonna care. And then people went insane. And I was like, oh, okay.
They became my mentors and the skate zone. Millions of dollars was on my mind at that time. I was dead broke. There was no time to relax, go hang out, party.
Yeah, that's the tyranny of poverty. That's the violence, the systemic violence of being impoverished. You don't have mental freedom to do anything. You don't have time to do anything. It forces you to live this subsistence existence of just like desperately trying to fucking breathe. And I mean, if we just had a system where not only could we provide health care, but we could, provide the basic needs for you to live, for free, tax the wealthy a lot more in order to pay for it. Now all of a sudden you wouldn't literally have to be like, oh my God, if I don't have enough money, I'm going to fucking die. Now you at least have that weight off your shoulders. Now it's more like, okay, now I need this to get like a place to live. Well, actually, no, a place to live is also essential for you to live, for you to be alive. So, maybe just a better place to live, Just to now getting money is about bettering your life instead of just keeping yourself alive, keeping yourself from fucking dying.
No, I was broke.
Continuing to pay the fee, that you have so-called right to life. If you have to pay your way in order to keep yourself alive, I feel like the right to life is not a right at all. I feel like it's a privilege that you have to pay for. It's kind of gross.
I needed millions. I saw, even when I had negative money in my account, which was very often, I saw millions in my future. I wanted safety, comfort, security, ease, no more stress. Tired of watching people stress. Tired of watching people fucking scrape and pawn shit just to pay this, and you know what I mean? I was tired.
Right. I mean, that's why so much crime happens with impoverished areas and shit like that. I mean, we've known this since Athens or even before that. Like, poverty creates crime. It's really as simple as that, because when you're forced to be in this destitute situation, you steal in order to survive. You deal, drugs or whatever, which shouldn't be a crime. In order to survive, desperate, when you put people in these desperate life or death situations, which is fucking cruel and inhumane, then people are going to do whatever they can to survive. Because, wouldn't you? I mean, shit, a lot of people are just trying to keep their families alive. It's just holy shit, it's so fucked up.
Tired of that shit, tired of being that myself. So that was my theme, you know what I mean? At that time, no time to chill, I'm trying to get meal.
But the stories that you tell, and this is true for some artists and not true for other artists, the stories that you tell are, especially on this project, such personal stories.
Right.
And it seems to me, I'm not an artist, but it seems to me that one has to get to a place of feeling a certain level of comfort to be transparent enough to share those stories.
Right.
So how does one...
See, that's the thing I always preach about regarding vulnerability, which is what he's trying to talk about. People, especially men or whatever, with these stupid ass views of oh, crying is weak, and oh, you were sad or whatever, why weren't you mad about this issue instead? It's what is that, a more manly emotion to have? You're still responding emotionally regardless. In fact, usually responding with anger is the less constructive and less mature response. But anyway, admitting to being sad, admitting to being scared, admitting to crying, whatnot, and just talking about your experiences as a person in general, being vulnerable, putting yourself out there. That's real strength. That is real courage. That actually takes a spine. If you notice, everyone seemingly seems to be so afraid of just talking about themselves. Talking about their real human experiences. What makes them them. They are afraid to even think about those kinds of experiences in general. We aren't really culturally encouraged to be introspective or even how to introspect at all. We aren't given the chance because we're kept distracted all the time. And it's just so not only are people afraid to be vulnerable about that stuff, but they're afraid to even be able to think about that kind of stuff, to even know what the fuck is going on with themselves. So they're just blur, 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 blur all the time. I feel so bad for people that live that kind of life. I'm oh my God, that sucks, because it's not really their fault necessarily.
How does one navigate to that particular place?
What's funny is I was telling these stories I'm a bedroom artist. I come from the bedroom generation of artists where I got my first beat machine. I was making beats downstairs in the house. I was writing in my room. I had this door closed. So when you got the door closed and you're writing these songs, no one's around to hear them. And so I had these songs that would say super personal details about my life, or really give you insight that some people might find embarrassing or might not want to reveal that type of information. But for me, it was no one was listening. It was I'm not a real, I don't really talk about my problems with my friends. I'm a real introverted person. So that was my way of getting it out. And I never thought about the other part that was like, yo, somebody's gonna hear this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And one day somebody's gonna hear this.
In your case, a whole bunch of people are gonna hear it. Yeah.
Right. So I got in the habit of telling those stories when no one was listening. It just so happens now we're at a point in my career where like everybody's listening. So it's, you know, it's cool.
I love that. He's great. I love him. And by the way, I feel like right now I'm at the point in, I guess, my career or potential career or whatever, where I feel like, you know, nobody's listening, and it kind of gives me that kind of same comfort. Like, I actually have talked about that before, where I'm like, oh, nobody's going to watch this. Nobody's going to listen. Why do I care? I don't care. Like, I'll just do my thing, you know. People will flock to it. And then even when people start flocking to it, I'll still be like, nah, no one's going to watch. Doesn't matter. Because just the nerves of, like, you know, thinking about, like, what people might think of, you know, what I want to talk about or what I have to say, or, you know, just my presentation style, you know, whatever. I just, like, I anticipate all these fucking negative reactions dogpiling on me, and I'm just like, and it like kind of shuts me down, you know. It kind of makes me like get quiet, and I'm like, fuck, like, you know, what if what I have to say is boring? What if, you know, this topic, everyone's just gonna be like, dude, this fucking happened so long ago. Why are you even talking about this now? It doesn't matter, or something, like, or whatever it is, or like, you know, oh, you want to talk about physics? Like, who the fuck's gonna listen to that, or, you know, whatever. Even though I know that there's audiences for that, regardless, but like, or even will people just like be fucking assholes and like roast me about like, oh man, you like jump from topic to topic. It's so obvious you have fucking ADHD, dude. Like, you should manage your condition better or some shit like that. Or they'll just be shitty about the ADHD and like fucking spout misinformation about it, because a lot of people call it ADD, or they'll say I have ADD and ADHD, and I'm like, telling me that literally just told me that you don't know what you're talking about. There is no ADD, it is ADHD, and there is inattentive and hyperactive type. It is ADHD. There is no ADD. Not a thing. And they'll always push back. They'll be like, oh, well, my therapist said this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, because they don't know either. You know, just because someone's a therapist or whatever, it doesn't mean that they're like they have like a doctorate in psychology or anything. Or, you know, that they are updated on the DSM-5 or whatever, or that they remember every detail. Because a lot of people will describe ADHD pretty accurately, but then they'll call it ADD, and I'm like, ugh, are you just stuck with the old label and you can't adjust? So it literally bothers me. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but like it bugs me when people call it ADD. I'm like, stop, no. Sorry, I got off
If I stayed in the
topic.
studio anything less than 12 hours before I had kids, it was a failure of a day. 12 hours before I had kids, it was a... If I stayed in the studio anything less than 12 hours before I had kids, it was a failure of a day. About 2 years into being a father, I remember like, oh, you need a schedule where your family knows that this is your time in the studio and this is the time when I'm at home on family mode. It's something.
Yeah, I mean, true. It's also just a good practice for setting boundaries with people and being like, hey, I am not available during these times. You know, I am doing this thing. I hope you can respect that.
That I needed to do because I'm not gonna shortcut on the family side. This past 5 years has been a fight against comfort. I was chilling. What I noticed was with that feeling of comfort, I'm like, damn, this is the moment that a lot of your favorite rappers hit a crossroad where they did what the fuck they set out to do, and then the fruits of their labor started working against them. That same energy and that same like passion they put into the craft was gone, and it was replaced by like comfort. Are you okay with getting comfortable, chilling, mailing it in, waiting around on inspiration? If this is as high as you ever got, not career success-wise, but from a skill level, like have you wrote your best song? Did you leave no stone unturned creatively? When you put yourself in uncomfortable moments, you find out a lot about yourself. And usually you find out that you're capable of rising to that bar that's set by that uncomfortable situation.
I like it. I know it's a little cheesy. It's like one of those classic motivation videos, but like I just really liked, I don't know. Again, he just reminds me, I mean, not to be like a narcissist or whatever, but like he reminds me of like, again, myself. At least what I like kind of like, he reminds me of what I have like in my mind as like the model of like what I aspire to be, you know? And I've never seen that dude talk before, and it was just kind of struck me. It's just like, whoa. He is literally like what I, you know, like actively, you know. And like someone's actually out there living by the philosophies that I believe, and it's just like, you know, that I don't fully embody and act out as much as I'd like to. And there's someone actually out there doing it, and it's like, yeah, I respect that so much. I respect it so much. You rarely see genuine vulnerability, not only just in day-to-day people, but with celebrities especially. It's like, wow. He is just such a genuine, real, and brave person. I respect the shit out of that. Like genuine vulnerability and just like introspection and, you know, all that kind of thing. It's like, you know, that stuff's not easy to maintain. So when someone does that, when someone keeps up with that and everything, like, you know, that takes strength. It takes courage. And I respect it. Truly. Sorry, I'm just checking on the stream. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? I was going to talk about Puss in Boots, and I was like, you know what? I don't really have that much to say. Here. I put something in reaction streaming. Let me see. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, that'll take a while. I'll do that. I'll save that for another day. Stop. But yeah, yeah, I really appreciated him. Let's see. Is there anything else? I feel like I just got room for like one more video, and I gotta hop off. Again, quick episode. I might just hop off anyway. Let's see. Yeah, because I want to save a lot of these topics on days where I'm actually like really in the mood to think about this stuff. So you know what? Yeah, honestly, I think that's all I'm gonna talk about for today. I really found it important because again, that's like the stuff that I preach and talk about like all the time. Here, hold on. I'm fucking up a little bit because I'm just, there we go. You know, and it's nice to see someone like actually living by the kind of the you know, I guess the moral code, the way of being that I believe in, you know, living by that better than I do. I like, it's so great. It's just great. Like, cause I'm just like, look at that. He's doing it. He's killing it. And it's validating to see someone live that existence that, like, you know, I find to be, you know, I don't know, how do you say it? Like, I guess just believe in. you know, just the kind of existence and being in the world that like I just truly believe deep down. And again, very much aspire to be. It's nice to look at it from, you know, instead of just imagining that I'm actually seeing it in a person, and it's like, wow, you know, yeah. It's validating, basically. It's like, you know, yeah, this stuff is strong, and it is highly respectable, and you can tell that people very much respect that stuff about him, and it's like, yeah, no wonder, because people, you know, you wonder why people respect that kind of stuff, like vulnerability and openness and that kind of thing. It's like, because it takes courage, because it takes strength. It's crazy that people still aren't just like, they don't just know that. It's so weird that people